Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Birds Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us. There is life again in the NovaCare complex. Philadelphia Eagles are back in action for training camp this year, and it's a sight to see. Eagles fans have been waiting for this period of the dead off season to come to an end, and now the life that is back in the NovaCare complex among the Eagles team. Everybody is gathering together. It's an exciting time. Eagles fans are going to be able to attend the public practice on August 1st. Tickets are still on sale, $10 a piece. All proceeds go to the Eagles Autism Foundation, a very worthy cause. So make sure that you check all the info out on how to get tickets and the link in the description, as well as at PhiladelphiaEagles.com or on our website, birdsnestmedia.com. As we start off on this training camp journey this year, here are some of the things that I am looking at and the things that I want to see coming out of training camp. And the first thing that I want to see is a really firm grasp of the relationship and a really positive relationship between Nick Sirianni, Jalen Herz, and Kellen Moore. In a particular way, Nick Sirianni and Jalen Herz. Jalen Herz is running his third new offense in 4 years, and that's going to take a toll on a quarterback. So we want to make sure that that relationship is right. Now, while there are many people in the Philadelphia sports media who are looking at this as a potential opportunity for strife or what have you, I'm not looking at that way. Jalen Hurts made some comments that basically came out of the Nick Saban school of don't say anything to the media ever. And 94 WIP and others kind of ran with that and basically sounded alarm bells that really weren't there. Nick Sirianni had the chance to address those earlier this week.
Only thing you can judge your relationships on is your personal interactions with people, not any report that comes out. And, Jalen and I's relationship is good. It's, again, you just can judge it based off of what your personal interactions are. And so when you hear a report like that, you don't put much stock into it because, quite frankly, not everybody sees that. So I'm so excited for him and I to get into our fourth year together. We've done some pretty special things, and I'm really excited for him. He's worked so hard at his game. I'm excited for him to be able to get back out here today and have a good practice today. And, just looking forward to continuing to work with him and continue to build on the special things that we've done.
And Jalen Hurts was also asked about those comments.
You go through an off season, you put a lot of work in, and I think all the things that we've been through last year, all the opportunity we had last year, I know everybody's hungry. Everybody's hungry. There's a ton of opportunity in front of us this year. And I'm excited to be back, excited to go through this journey and go through this season with everyone here, from everyone, and I truly trust Mr. Leary, I trust Howie, I trust Coach Sirianni to lead us in that right direction. And I know there are different roles in place. Everybody has different responsibilities. There may be more demands from some than others. But I think to win championships, to be the team we want to be, everyone has to buy into that role, and everyone has to, really be fully committed to doing their part and helping the team. And so I'm excited to go on that journey. I feel like for me as a player, as a leader, everything that we went through last year, I just feel like I'm equipped to handle whatever's to come. And so I'm excited to, forge whatever this year's supposed to be.
From where I'm standing, I think this is a very good relationship that was strained by the fact that the team was losing towards the end. And yes, a team should have strong relationships, should be able to connect. That's a key part of Nick Sirianni's coaching philosophy. But it's easier to do that when your team is winning. And it doesn't come without taking a toll on the players and the coaches and everybody really that's involved. So I am going to be looking at the relationship more in terms of How is everybody adapting to the offensive ideas that are coming out? And we saw some really promising reports coming out of OTAs. The fact that there was a lot of motion mixed in, the fact that there was a lot of pre-snap trickery, things like that, things that simply were not present over the course of the preceding year. And that is going to be critical when it comes to moving on from the weaknesses offensively for this team. Now, similarly on the same side, I'm going to be looking for how Vic Fangio is implementing his own system. Now, he made some comments that suggested that he uses analytics in a different way.
How have you embraced analytics?
I love analytics. No, it hasn't changed at all. I love analytics. Give me anything you want, and I'll sort through it and use it as I see fit. But I've been doing analytics myself, my own way, for years, and I don't share my process with anybody, and even fellow coaches. So I believe in analytics. I think analytics people miss the boat a little bit on what's important, but I'm not going to tell them what's important. I do it myself.
I'll go on that too. So
What's that?
When you say you do the analytics yourself,
I along with what they give me.
so they give you the information, then you process it the way you want to process it yourself.
No, I have a way of I have a system outside of that I use, and I'll use whatever they give me and decide what's relative and what isn't relevant, huh?
No one else knows your system. None of your proteges have ever.
No.
Now, for me, when I hear all that, I'm thinking, you know what? This really isn't an analytics question. This is an eye test. Vic Fangio is using the eye test in addition to analytics. But regardless of the situation, the defense is the side of the football that probably needed more help coming into places like free agency and the draft. Those pieces are in place. It's now time for the defense to gel together under Vic Fangio's system. The reports are that it seems to be going that way, and the defense is shining based off of the reports that I have seen coming out of the Eagles beat reporters in training camp. Flipping it back to Jaylen Herz for just a second, I do also want to point out that Jaylen Herz also seems to be rock solid through the first few days of training camp. There have been reports of him being incredibly accurate over the first couple of days of camp. Balls aren't hitting the ground is the quote from Jimmy Kempski over at Philly Voice, which is a really good sign. Hertz is finding his targets, and yes, it's early in training camp, and yes, the defense probably had that greater work that they needed to do. But if your chief concern coming out of the end of last season was Jaylen Hurts' consistency, I think based off of these first couple of days, we'll be fine there in that department. We'll see how more of that develops, but it'll be good to see. The next thing that I'm going to be looking for are the two position battles. There are two particularly big ones that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. The first is right guard. So here's what happened. We all know Jason Kelce retired. He's gone out of center. The plan that is being executed is that Cam Jurgens slides into the center role. And he seems to be doing a pretty good job on that based off of the reports that I'm seeing coming out of training camp. But Cam Jurgens was the starting right guard. So who do we have at starting right guard? That's going to be the question. There's where your position battle is. Right now, it looks like Tyler Steen is going to be the guy. He's been getting the reps for the first couple of days. But on day 3 of practice, Tyler Steen actually left practice early and is being evaluated for potential injury. But the substitution was interesting, and it was Darian Kinnard, who was a 5th-round selection in the 2022 draft by the Kansas City Chiefs. He made the 53-man roster as a rookie. He didn't really play a whole lot. He was active for just 3 games. He only appeared in one of them entirely on special teams. So he didn't make the 53-man roster in 2023, and the Eagles yoinked him off of the Chiefs practice squad. So that was a little bit of a surprise, but we'll see what winds up happening because there are definitely other options on the line So there's going to be some potential there. We'll see what winds up happening with Tyler Steen, too. He was drafted last year, and he's getting his looks, so we'll see how all that pans out. The other position battle is wide receiver 3. With Quez Watkins gone, Olamide Zaccheaus gone, there is definitely some competition for that wide receiver 3 battle. So we'll see what winds up happening on that front. There's a number of names that have been thrown around. Even Britton Covey was catching passes in that slot in a couple of practices through this first part of training camp. So we'll see where things pan out, but I am looking forward to seeing who's going to come out with the right guard spot, who's going to be coming out with the wide receiver 3 spot, at least on the first team. And the last storyline that I want to talk about, at least in this episode, is the importance of the 2022 draft picks. They're now in their 3rd season in the NFL. And guys like Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis really need to make sure that they're stepping up their game. People who were drafted in that 2022 year haven't really had a whole lot of spotlight time. When they haven't really performed the way that we were expecting them to. So these are important years for them. These are important games for them. These are important practices for them to make sure that they are shining. We saw Jordan Davis over the offseason completely revitalize his diet and coming into camp looking slimmer, and that's a huge, huge benefit. Nakobe Dean, who spent most of last season on the sideline due to injury, is hopeful that he'll be able to pick up where he left off and be able to assume a leadership role. And for what it's worth, the Philadelphia Eagles do still have tremendous confidence in him.
I have a lot of belief, and I know Coach does as well, in Nakobe Dean, and so I believe in the player, I believe in the person. We lost 2 linebackers at that spot, 2 good players from our Super Bowl team. And we had Nakobe Wade in the wings. We drafted him for that role. Obviously, it didn't work out perfectly for him this year. That doesn't change the belief we have in the player.
So with that in mind, the Philadelphia Eagles are moving into training camp, and it's definitely one of the best times for an Eagles fan because football is this close to being back. Eagles fans will be able to see their team for the first time in person this year at the Eagles public practice on August 1st at Lincoln Financial Field. Tickets are just $10. All proceeds benefit the Eagles Autism Foundation. Make sure you check it out. It's going to be a blast just to be there with Eagles fans and to see this team take the field and to see this team's practice for yourself. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What are you watching out for as the Eagles take the field for training camp? What's catching your interest? Let me know. And thank you so much to everybody for tuning in to the Bird's Nest Podcast. You can support the Bird's Nest Podcast by liking and subscribing to Bird's Nest Media right here on YouTube, as well as by sharing to your social media pages. You can also find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify. Please visit birdsnestmedia.com for additional Eagles coverage. And if you feel so inclined to support us in a different way, you can find the link to our Patreon in the description below or at birdsnestmedia.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go Eagles!